It's the Gamesight Podcast.
All right, welcome to the 5th episode of the Gamesight Podcast. Today we have here with us Emilee Helm, head of influencers. Ooh, wow, look at you. And then we have Gabriel O'Meara. Did I say that right? Gabriel O'Meara?
O'Meara, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Gabriel O'Meara, creator program manager, also known as Grabe.
To some.
Only to some, not everyone.
Only my friends.
Yeah.
If I
You
hear
can't just say
anyone
that
call
to
me
us.
Grabe and you're not my friend, yikes, I'm coming for you.
Oh my God. All right. So I wanted to try a new thing on the podcast where we talk a little bit about current events. Ooh. So I have prepared some topics. I wanted to talk about kick.com, the new competitor to Twitch. What are people's thoughts?
If you want to watch slots streamers, I think kick.com is a great place to go.
Right.
If you want to watch other content, other places are probably the best bet.
Yeah, seems to be really thriving in the slots and casino category. A little bit of just chatting, but I don't think it'll take off. I mean, even with streamers behind it, we've seen it time and time again not be successful with a ton of money behind it, without a ton of money behind it. It just doesn't. It's hard to reinvent the wheel, I guess.
About like how there was like pushes from other platforms to try to get their live streaming working and it didn't work.
Right. I mean, if you look at something like Mixer, I think they walked so YouTube could run, essentially. But, they had the idea of bringing over different communities to a new platform. And it kind of worked for a little bit, but just it wasn't able to maintain the community piece that I think is so ingrained in things like Twitch and YouTube. And YouTube had that community established already, which gave the edge, I believe, in launching live streaming services. So I think it's hard. I think someone can do it. I just don't know if it's going to be Kick.
It's like the internet companies in America, right? ISPs in America. In order to be a competitor in the ISP market, you have to have such a substantial investment into like getting into whatever area you want to start your ISP in, like hundreds of millions of dollars, because of the infrastructure and the difficulty and like the stranglehold that a lot of the larger companies have, right? And it's the same thing with any product, but I think for streaming, right? Unless you have a substantial amount of money, a willing audience, and a good platform that enables interactivity and in the ways that YouTube Live and Facebook gaming and Twitch Live can do, it's really difficult unless you can really bring over some of those larger creators, which costs a ton of money. I think you'll find like maybe disgruntled creators who like don't like Twitch or really don't like YouTube go to stuff like Kick, but it's and I know people talk about it, but it takes time and a lot of money to invest in it. And if you don't have one, it takes more of the other.
Counterpoint, what if you just copy all of Twitch's UI and
I mean, I think we're seeing that a little bit. I know Ludwig and Truffle, like that's part of what he's done with that extension, is to make the chat look like Twitch chat and to feel really comparable to the Twitch experience. Again, still something that is backed heavily by a lot of money and a lot of community members. I think in that case, you have a content creator who is influencing other content creators and bringing them on board, saying, hey, I know that we all came up on Twitch and there were features that we really loved about it, so let's keep embracing those things, but on this new platform. So yeah, I think that's right. Twitch UI and what makes Twitch is part of what is special. So we are seeing people try to replicate it, and to some level of success, I would say. But yeah, YouTube is a bigger beast. YouTube and Google is a bigger beast than what Kick has behind it. So, but curious to see if creators really commit to this push and this jump. And I don't think there's any conflict. I mean, I guess their partners are, I don't know if they're allowed to cross stream on other platforms, but is that something at play that we haven't seen before, right? Because it's always been exclusives. It's always been just Twitch, just Mixer, just YouTube, just Facebook. But now with that flexibility, maybe there is some way to make some waves. I don't know. I'll be interested to follow it. I think they've been very vocal about it and excited to see kind of what unfolds. It's fun to watch, I guess, as a third party.
Yeah, I mean, the 95-5 split, like creators get 95% of the income. That just sounds crazy. I don't know if it's sustainable, but if it ends up being a thing, like,
I
Yeah.
don't think it's sustainable long term if they want to compete with YouTube and Twitch on the level that they're at right now, because
Hmm.
I mean, obviously spending efficiencies depend on the company, how large it is, but eventually, like if they have enough creators come over to their site and they want to maintain the the back end, they want to introduce features, like new features, being able to support all those streams, right? Like cost server like fees, right? There's just a lot that goes into it. And
Hmm.
while Twitch and YouTube aren't perfect, like they have done a really good job of creating stable platforms that are reliable. Like you can go on there pretty much any time, and like the uptime is 99.99%. So it's just it's difficult. I'm not saying it's
Hmm.
impossible, but again, like it takes a lot of money, it takes a lot of time, and the reason it takes a lot of time is because you have to build that brand and that reputation to
Hmm.
be something that's a stable pillar of the community rather than this like offshoot, right? Like there's been a lot of streaming sites that have tried to compete over the past decade with Twitch, and
Hmm.
YouTube Live and Facebook Gaming are really the only two that have stayed, and that's because they have a lot of money. Facebook puts a lot of money into Facebook Gaming, and YouTube puts a lot of money into getting creators to switch over to their platform. And I don't think you'll find a better platform than Twitch for finding new communities. Like one of YouTube Live's biggest downfalls is it's really hard to find new streams that you didn't already know about. If you have a creator that you like watching on YouTube Live, it's a great experience. But if you're looking for new creators, Twitch still has the best algorithms for like, hey, we notice you like these games and you like these creators. Have you tried these channels?
Hmm.
And it's spot on pretty much all the time. And that's another huge feature is finding new content. Again, we'll see how Kick does it
Hmm.
if they
Yeah.
can.
Another thing about Kick is like they have no content regulation pretty much, right? Like they
Mm.
stream the Super Bowl. Like there's like news stories every day about like some new crazy thing or streamed on Kick, and I just don't understand how long they think they're gonna get away with
Right.
this. I don't know about that. Yeah.
Right. I mean, because it does come back to maintaining a brand and maintaining something that is safe. I think in theory, it sounds cool to be able to stream whatever you want, but
Hmm.
at the risk of sounding like a boomer, like there's terms and conditions for like a reason. Like you can't just publicly use these platforms because they're accessible to everybody. So if there's not restrictions, we get into weird territory.
Right.
And then obviously working on the influencer side, what does that mean for brand deals? Like, if I know your
Mhm.
audience is on Kick and I'm just paying for your viewership, is it worth it? I'm not sure. I don't know if it's impactful to spend my marketing dollars on that platform alone. So lots to lots to see. I'm sure it will unfold and there'll be a lot to take away from it, but definitely always fun to see a new competitor kind of come into the arena, I guess.
True that. I also wanted to talk about some new game releases that have been trending this week. So obviously, Hogwarts Legacy made like a huge splash in the middle of February with its release. I don't know if you guys have been playing it.
I'm a level 35 wizard. NBD. Yeah, it's hard to have. I mean, like with a lot of new game releases, I feel recently there is always some sort of drama or like a superlative like tied to the release, and it's really interesting because I feel like that wasn't the case for such a long time, and I feel like it happened infrequently, but it happens more frequently now. Like
Mm.
people are able to find some way to say you shouldn't play this game or you shouldn't play that game because of this or that when it's like if you look deep enough into any game, you can be like, yeah, there's a reason you shouldn't play this. So it is interesting to like see if that's going to continue, if that's going to be like a trend,
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
Social discourse.
The optimist in me is like somewhat excited about the conversations it's brought up, I think.
Mm.
I would say that a lot of people probably didn't know a lot about the creator and where their stances are on things. And so, in the right hands, that could be a really good form of a tool of education. So I've seen a lot of streamers try to embrace that and then obviously do some charity plays and try to, revert money back to organizations for trans folks, which I think is
Mhm.
great. And personally, in my opinion, I think has a bigger impact than probably sending a tweet and being angry about it or making somebody feel bad for playing a game. But again, that's all opinion, and I'm sure that is also subject to scrutiny. But the game is great. I think it'd be easy, and it would be easy for myself to just hop on the bandwagon and hate it too if it sucked. But it's a pretty good
It's a
game.
really
It's
good
it's
game.
fun.
Like as a game, it's phenomenally it's well optimized. It's fun. It's got engaging characters. Like the combat is super fun, and that's rare. It's honestly rare these days for a game to hit all the heads on the nail, especially with how fun the game plays. Depending on the game, the majority of the time you spend playing a game, right, is fighting or action. Like if you're playing an action game. So if the action and the fighting mechanics of the game feel stale, then even if you have a really good story, really good soundtrack, really good everything else, if the game doesn't play well, you're going to lose a lot of the casual audience, especially, who are going to be like, this isn't fun to play. You'll always have the niche audience who really love the story. They really love the lore. It's adapted from something, so they're really into it. But gameplay should be the core of most games. Obviously not. It's hard to put a template for all games. There's like visual novels, whatever. But for like your default game, your default action/adventure, FPS, whatever game, gameplay should be the number one focus. Because if it doesn't feel good to play, then what's the point?
Totally.
And that's where, Hogwarts shines, I think, mostly.
None of the quests, even the side quests, are painstaking, I guess. I've had fun with most of them, whether it's a stealth mission or a combat-focused mission. I think there's a lot of variety there. And to me, as somebody who's played a lot of different games, it feels like a gateway to a bunch of other kinds of games. There's like semi-Souls-like combat, and then there's, kind of the Fable aspect of like the storytelling and community that you're embracing, and the reputation you're building, and the choose your own path type thing. Then obviously just as a core role-playing game, like it is you get to kind of you feel like you're in it. And so it obviously helps that it's around an IP that is so deep and well loved, but the game itself is phenomenal, and from that objective standpoint, I can't get enough of it. I'm having a really good time with it.
I feel like so like obviously Hogwarts Legacy is like one of the most outselling games of this year right now. I like outsold everything pretty much. Actually, let me look up official stats on that.
I think it was
it's selling at a faster rate than Elden Ring.
825 million units, or that's revenue. That's revenue. 12 million units.
Yeah, that's like
which is crazy. That is that is insane. That amount of units for a video game. Especially a $70 video, or I can't remember what the retail price is for
retail
it was like price
60,
game.
70. Yeah.
Elden Ring just passed 20 million, right? And that's a substantial feat. Hogwarts is already at 12. And Elden Ring came out about exactly a year from, what is it? Yeah, February 24th. Yeah, about a year.
Oh wow, it was literally the anniversary of Elden Ring. Yeah. Are Zoomers playing this game, or is it like a testament to the power of millennials and people who grew up with Harry Potter, right?
That's
a great question, because I'm on the cusp, right? Like I'm 1997, so I kind of have millennial traits, but then I also have some Zoomer traits. But I wouldn't classify myself as like a Potterhead or anything. Like I love the movies. I never read the books. Was never really involved in those communities. I just know the world is rich, and it's fun to be fun to kind of consume. My lukewarm take is that the game is better, right? But it's true. Like being able to reclaim that and put yourself into it is way more fun, and it's less about Harry Potter and his journey and more about you and your journey, which is great. But yeah, I would love to see the demographic breakdown, because I feel like, I don't know, my girlfriend played it and she does not play games. Like she's made her own character. I know that like we have some coworkers who like their kids are playing it for the first time, like first time ever playing a video game. So I don't know. It seems to have the range. Can a video game have Riz?
It does have Riz.
Yeah, I love that. Hogwarts has it, yeah.
My dad called me the other day and he was like, "Hey, are you playing?" And I was like, "Yeah, why?" He's like, "Okay, interesting." And my dad is a guy who got a Series S. I got him a Series S for Christmas. So he's a gamer, but he has never liked anything Harry Potter, but even his interest is piqued.
Well, there's certain franchises that are timeless, like Pokemon. I mean, what's the demographic for Pokemon, right?
Everyone.
The entire world.
5 to 60, right? Anywhere.
Same with like Animal Crossing, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and especially Pokemon ones, but like, Pokemon realized that their audience grew up and then had kids, and then now they have wallets to spend money on both themselves and their kids. And so it's just stacking on itself. And I think it's only getting bigger and bigger. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something similar with Hogwarts and the wizarding world, so to speak. Be cool.
We can talk about other games that are also trending. Sons of the Forest also came out. I don't know if you guys follow that franchise. Yeah, it's like the long-awaited sequel to The Forest.
That was one that I totally had like a viewer moment with, is because I think I posted it in Slack. I was like, what is this? And why is nobody streaming it sponsored? Like everyone's just streaming it because it's good, which is crazy. So I don't know a lot about it, but that was my initial impression of it, was why does this game have like just under 1 million concurrent viewers? It's insane.
Games like The Forest and Sons of the Forest, by virtue of being the same franchise, like the survival games where you kind of make your own adventure, you make your own content, is perfect for content creators because, a content creator plays it with 4 or 5 other friends. It's just goofy, it's silly, stuff happens, make great content. And it's those kind of games are really fun to play if you're a player, right? The aspect of you and your friends having to work together. Like my friends and I, we play Raft a lot, and that's like a game that's in the similar vein of like that survival work, and it becomes like a thing because it's funny for people to watch. Those kind of games are just they're almost timeless at this point. It's really easy for hardcore gamers to play. It's also really easy for casual gamers to play because there's usually difficulty levels. Everybody knows about The Forest. So when people say, oh, the sequel to The Forest is out, I don't need to watch someone play. I already know I'm going to like it because it.
Yeah, I mean, that's why Minecraft is still popular, right?
We were just talking about starting a Gamesight Minecraft server because that's another timeless game. Everybody goes through these phases where they're like, man, I haven't played Minecraft in a while. I should play Minecraft, for the first time this year. And then, you play it for a few weeks. Yeah, and then you're like, oh, that was good. And then you forget about it for another year and then you start over again.
Still fun.
The journey, not the destination.
True that. There's like a couple other games that are out that are trending too that made a big splash, like a Dragon Ishin from the creators of Yakuza.
Oh, there's also Atomic Heart.
The Atomic Heart, yeah.
Atomic Hearts.
I haven't played it yet, but it looks really good. That kind of game, that kind of cerebral mystery FPS game with really unique, like a really unique setting, Bioshock-esque, right? That kind of stuff always interests me because the game market is so saturated with games that all look and all play the exact same. So when you get these games that are more esoteric and more kind of geared towards maybe a niche or like a smaller community, they tend to be better because they tend to have more love and care put into them for that community. And if you're part of that community, the game is phenomenal. If you're not, it's harder to get into, obviously.
Yeah, I do like games like that, but the problem with story games is that you play it once and there's not a lot of replayability, unless it's like a like an Elden Ring type or like a God of War kind of beat. Skyrim, huge replayability.
Games that allow and encourage mods tend to be far more long-lived and have far more sales than games that don't, because the modding community is what keeps games alive after initially launched. It's always really sad to see a game that has a lot of promise come out and the developers are really anti-mod, and it's like, your game is so perfect to mod. And I know that there's arguments against it, but man, so many games are so popular because they're modded or they're moddable.
It's one of those things, we're talking about entering an era of like user-generated content, and companies are still hesitant to embrace it, and it doesn't have to be anything crazier like than just being able to mod a game, and that's why you do see games like Minecraft have such a long life. And I think that's what makes communities thrive, and that's why I'm excited we're talking about Halo, because I think they were early to the game when it came to embracing user-generated content. So lots to say there. So really excited to kind of talk about it.
What an excellent segue. Yeah, so just as a heads up, my experience in Halo, extremely minimal. So I'm here to learn today. Like what I know is only like people whispering about like this epic legacy of the past and like this epic downfall. Like I know there's that one photo of like someone being like duct taped to the ceiling and then they're like playing.
So that was Counter. That's Counter-Strike.
Oh, that's Counter-Strike. My bad.
That picture.
This is like what era? That
Yeah.
was the era. Like,
That was the era, though. Oh man,
what are your experiences?
best years of my life, to be honest. I can't think of a time in my life where I've had more fun than there was this local game store I used to go to every weekend when I was a kid in like middle school and grade school and early high school, where you would go and you'd play Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon and Magic, and you'd do these tournaments throughout. Like in the beginning part of the day, it had this huge back room. It's where all the kids in the whole city would come from different school districts. Like you'd meet a lot of different people there, but they had these TVs in the back. And if you paid, it was like $10 or $20 or something, you could be in the back room all day, and you could bring your Xbox and hook it up to the TV. And so my friends and I would all go to this LGS, and we would play card games all day. We'd play Pokemon, and then we'd play Yu-Gi-Oh, and then we'd play Magic, right? Like back to back to back.
Beautiful.
And then from like 3 to 4, starting at 3 to 4 p.m. until 9 p.m., we would play Halo 2 LAN Party. Because this was like 2004 to 2007. Like this was like the LAN was really at its peak, and it was so fun. It was just so fun. It doesn't matter like who won. It wasn't like it was always we would play like Tower Power, we would play like Rat Race, or we would play like all these fun custom games, and it was just like it's nostalgia to to the highest extent. In where I know that if I did it again today, I think I would have just as much fun.
Oh.
With the right group, right? They were the most fun I've ever had gaming, and I'm so sad that there's LAN party gaming is not like an encouraged development option in games, especially like in Halo now, even though they said it was going to be and they didn't do it. Anyways, I'm incredibly like on it in like any FPS game for sure.
Definitely. Similar to Gabe, I would say that Halo, I always say it, and it's the reason I'm here. It's the reason I'm anywhere involved in gaming. It is just, to me, like, it's everything. And so similarly, just some of the most fun I've ever had playing games. I got my Xbox 360 for Christmas when I was 10, and then so I was 11 when I was really starting to play Halo 3 for the first time, which is crazy that my parents let me do that. But like online, that was the thing. I remember getting into lobbies and like putting on my little headset, and sometimes it really sucked, but sometimes you made friends and people were nice and they wanted to help you learn, and you found community because it was like almost self-moderated, right? You had people in chat telling people to shut up or help you out or whatever. So
the in-game menu for Halo 2, like the tip section, encouraged players to trash talk each other using their mic. Like it was actively encouraged by the developers. It was a different time. It was a time where like it formulated so many like people my age. It formed our personalities, because you would have these lobbies of people who would like shit talk you and who would like get really into it, and it was never like personal. And it was, if you learn to A, take it, and B, to dish it out. And it would be like you would shit talk each other like at the end of the game, and then you guys would be on the same team, and it'd be like, oh, all right, like what's going on, man? Like you would immediately shift like tones, right? And it was just so funny to see that. Sometimes it didn't happen like that. Sometimes like you would lose the game because you would end because you would like be shit talking from the last game for this game. But
yeah, you're still fighting.
Yeah, it was the community. Like Halo 2 had clans integrated into the game. So it was so easy to like find groups of people to join. I remember my first time playing Halo. It was December of 2001. Halo had just come out, because Halo came out in November of 2001, because it was one of the Xbox launch titles. And my friend invited me over to his house. I was in 4th grade. I was like 9 years old. He's like, there's this game that just came out. You shoot aliens. And I'm on this level where there's like this thing's called the Warthog, and like one of us drives and one of us shoots. And I'm thinking we could do the level, and I'll drive for the first half, and then you can drive for the second, right? And he was just so excited about it. And I was like, all right, man, like, sure. And I go over. We played the entire Halo CE campaign in one night. It's and I was like, Dad, I know what I want for Christmas. I want Halo. Like, I need Halo. And it's all I want for the next, like, year. Everyone in my family combined to get, like, an Xbox and Halo for me. And at this point, what is it, 2023? I've been playing Halo for 22 years. I have probably 16 or 17,000 hours of Halo played across all the... Because I've quite literally been playing Halo my entire life. It is... Halo is the biggest game in the world for 10 years. It's insane that a game can go from that height to where it's at now, which is not a great place, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mentioned it to you in passing once. Like, at what point do we enter the age where certain digital video games are like forever, right? And is that going to be League of Legends? Is it going to be something like Counter-Strike? Like, when do these games end? And I think for Halo, we are heading that way. I don't know if it's going to live forever. I think the community, obviously, Gabe and I could sit here and talk to you about it all day because we are so passionate, but a lot of that is still driven by nostalgia. So, until certain improvements come, I don't know if it's going to have the caliber of like a League of Legends or something like that will just be forever. But I think it had the potential to be, and maybe still does. It's one of the first times that I was like, this has to be forever because this is the best thing of my life.
It's such a huge game. How could it not be forever, right? And you'll find that people, like I was actually just playing the Master Chief Collection last night with some friends. We were playing Halo 3, and there are more people that play Master Chief Collection than play Halo, right, the newest game.
Oof.
And that's a testament to A, nostalgia, and B, just timelessness. Halo 1, 2, and 3 are all timeless. It, like, as time goes on, it gets a little more difficult to play, like, Halo CE, Halo, which is Halo Combat Evolved, which is the first Halo. Because it's very old, and it was one of the first games to truly capture FPS games on console to truly capture like the casual audience. GoldenEye was the first iteration of that, and it did a really good job. But Halo, like when you compare Halo to GoldenEye, like obviously there's a massive leap there. And Halo was the first game to prove that A, FPS games can work on console, and B, there's a demand for it, and it's insane. Because everybody had an Xbox and everybody played Halo. You were a gamer, you had an Xbox, you played Halo. And if you didn't, you were probably like a niche gamer who's really into PlayStation, or you had like a really PC. Like those were the only two other.
True.
If you were anything else, you either had an Xbox or played Halo, or you went to a friend's house and played Halo on their Xbox.
True.
And that was the reality from 2001 to 2010. I would say
2011.
Is there an eSports scene for Halo? Like what's going on?
Yeah.
Still around, still alive. It's called HCS, the Halo
Championship Series.
Halo Championship Series. And they funded by 343 and run by them. They've done, I know, like international tours this year. They've done a few different circuits, I guess. They pump a lot of money into it. But again, not something that I feel like is picked up in the mainstream. I don't know how the viewership does.
It has a bad rep for a number of reasons, but one of the biggest reasons was it is hard to run custom games on Halo Infinite without someone crashing. There are lots of iterations in the HCS. Like the game is unfinished still at this point, and it crashes frequently at the tournaments, and they have to like restart the game or pick the game up off like where it ended, like and just manually calculate like it's gotten better, but like early on when people were really interested in it
they didn't capitalize.
They didn't capitalize. No, they didn't capitalize on the hype, and they didn't capitalize on the volume because the content wasn't there. And key parts of the game, like Halo Infinite, still doesn't have infection. It doesn't have Griffball. It doesn't have like it just now implemented Forge mode, but like it's just there's a lot of problems with it. Theater mode still really doesn't work that well. A lot of these things that were done easily in 2007, they've just had an insane time implementing in a game developed in between 2015 and 2023. There's just far more of a market now, so people aren't just going to say, I'm only going to play Halo anymore, right? They're going to say, I'm going to go play Apex, or I'm going to go play Valorant, I'm going to go play Counter-Strike.
Right. There's too many things fighting for our attention, and, to come out and ship a game that's just not complete, and especially not have those features that fans love, which is custom games and Forge and all of these really cool opportunities for user-generated content. To not have that, even not have co-op campaign, hurts. And I think that, I don't know, it really hurt me as a fan, just like on a personal level. I was like, that sucks, like it sucks that I would have loved to have run through this campaign with friends online, or I would have, loved to do custom games. But like Gabe said, to not have things that were, and maybe this is
integral.
Maybe this is like rose-colored glasses, but like to not have things that were polished in 2007 not be polished in 2023, it just sucks. Like it just sucks as a fan. So And I think it is integral to the space, because I remember growing up, I followed Halo eSports, I followed like Halo Machinima, like I followed Halo
Red
like
versus Blue.
anything. Like I was in custom games, I was on the Bungie forums, I had a clan that had its own website. Like I was so
Yep.
deep into this. Like
And all of those things were so important, especially for Halo 3. Like 2007 to 2008, I still think is the greatest time period for video games of all time, because you had Gears of War had just come out. Halo 3 came out and was just popping. You had Modern Warfare, and then you had Modern Warfare 2 the next year, or 2 years after the release window. But like the Halo 3, Machinima almost helped create what YouTube is today, because it's what everybody watched. You watched Machinima, and a lot of the best Machinima was Halo. Some of the funniest, and it's funny, is some of it, like I went back and I would look at some of the videos I thought were the funniest thing I'd ever seen in my life. To this day, I'm like, wow, that was cringe. Times changed, like stuff changes, but it was like, it's still like at the time and for its time, it was really funny. It was really innovative. A lot of those Machinimas people do. Red versus Blue obviously started in Halo CE, and I think Red versus Blue did an incredible job in like, I have friends who have never played Halo, but they've seen every episode of Red versus Blue up till like,
that's me. Like,
season like 8 or whatever.
This.
Halo 3 especially, right? I was a part of this clan. I was a part of multiple clans, but like we were really into being competitive and winning and playing other clans, and we had like, we kept track. We had our own website. We kept track of our win loss. But like you would play like these like ranked, right? You played ranked for a couple hours. You'd be like, oh, okay, I'm like, we're kind of burnt out, so let's go play big team battle. So you go play big team battle for a couple hours. You're like, okay, we're tired of playing Halo normally. Let's go play like hide and seek, or let's go play Fat Kid, or let's go play Clue, right? Like there's just or Centaurs, right? Or Minotaur. There was just an insane amount of custom games and it was all in the same game, all in the same contextual lobby. You could just back out to the main menu with the same
load
party,
up a new map,
go to a different, go into theater together. Like my team, like we would always go after clan match, we'd go into theater together. Like, all right, like what went right, what went wrong here, and we would like analyze it, and it was all on the same platform, seamless, and it all worked at launch, unprecedented. Halo 3, especially at launch. I think, obviously I think a lot of people think Halo 3 is overrated, but I think it's underrated. Halo 3 is the pinnacle video game. It is just the video game. Like
the file share system, everything was just incredible.
In 2007.
It's true. It's true. I know, and I feel like those clans at that time almost operated as like mini esports orgs, because I know my clan was similar to Gabe's. Like we had a competitive team, but then we also had like a broader clan game night, or
wow,
like we had a functioning website that had moderators and staff, and it was very serious. Like and people were spending their time there. Yes,
like people
had ranks. Yes.
Whenever you would spend months trying to get a promotion in our Halo clan, and when you got it, like I got a promotion in the Halo, like it's all that mattered. I remember being 15 and 16, all I cared about was progressing in my Halo clans, helping my Halo clans grow, like putting all my effort into it, like recruiting, like cringe recruitment messages on Bungie.net, and like reaching out to, because we were an elite clan. So like in Halo, there were 2 player models you can play as, right? There's the Spartan model, which is what Master Chief is, and then there's the elite. And all the clans I was ever part of, you had to play the elite model. We were elite. Like, that was our thing. We built our whole clan structure on being elites. But it was so fun because everybody had the same interests. And we would go into a match and we'd all be elites. And people would be like, oh, it's a bunch of dinos. It's been 15 years since I've had, like, that feeling of, I want to do well for my clan and we're a community.
And part of me wonders if, like, some of this is still out there. Like, there's a good chance that folks like Gabe and I came up and, we're here. We're in the gaming industry, right? Like, this is probably all we could have ever dreamed of. But I'm sure there's still some, 15-year-old kid who's doing the same thing on Rainbow Six Siege or League of Legends or wherever. They're trying to do this. But it felt like such a bigger deal back then. I think to some extent it was. Like, social media was not the social media that we live on today. And these were your main forms of communication. Sitting in forums and talking in forums was like a big deal. And where I spend my time. Yes. And seriously, like Skype. And I remember getting on, just all of those things to try to talk to anybody. And so, I don't know, I can't remember a world where people would recognize a moderator from a forum and be like, that guy's the coolest dude ever. Like,
Right.
moderators had clout back then. Like Shiska was like the man.
Bungie and their team would actively be on the Bungie.net forums and not only read them, but interact with the. By the time Bungie.net, like the old Bungie.net, got shut down, I was like a mythic, legendary poster or whatever. The amount of times I interacted with actual Bungie members that we would like converse in the comments about something was insane. And there are still game devs that do that, and I think Discord is a great application to facilitate that. But to the extent that Bungie did, like especially in 2007, when this was almost unheard of, like this type of community, it was just something. It was something else. There's no word. It's hard to describe. You had to be there. It's like such a you had to be there thing. There was so many facets to the community, to how Halo operated within the community, and how Halo like presented itself to people who had never played before. I had friends who had never played a video game before, and they were like, they played Halo, and that's all they do. Like in 2023, everybody does. Everybody's a gamer. Right. 2007, there weren't that many like outwardly gamers, because you would get like picked on for being a nerd still. And so back then, it was almost a safe haven, being able to go online and you're in vision-free Halo clan forums with your little chat bar at the bottom, and you had like your RP section, and then you had your like whatever section, and you just felt safe and you felt a part of that community in its own thing. And then like when you would play other clans or you would meet other people in the community, and people cared so much. I don't think I can emphasize how much people cared about like as Halo communities back then. Yeah. I admin a Halo community server. We've got like 1,000 members, and it's like an elite server where all the people who like used to play as elites back in the day hang out. There's like young like new members that just discover Halo who like join in stuff. And what I find and what you see is that so many of the people are like we are ravenous for good Halo, for more content, for like just something with soul in it. Because we miss so much that community, that warm feeling you would get playing Halo. Because you don't get that from many games anymore, especially not from Halo Infinite. And it was just special.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we talked about, like earlier, how we talked about Hogwarts has such a rich IP. Halo is such a rich IP. There's books, there's so much lore, and I think there's a world that is worth developing. But to some degree has maybe been mishandled or, just missed the mark on a few things that make it great. I think there's a ton of potential because it's a comfy space. It's a good world. It's a place you want to be in and learn more about. I feel like we see a lot of pivots in the Halo world away from the original lore or away from, I don't know, just like it's so
made
different.
Halo great. Well, Halo 1, Halo 2, and Halo 3 were all designed to almost be party games. They weren't designed to be these really intense eSports shooters. I mean, eSports wasn't that big back in the day, and one of the reasons eSports was big back in the day was because of Halo and the MLG circuit. And I remember reading an article in Game Informer when I was like frickin' 12 years old about how Final Boss won an MLG tournament. They won $1 million. I was like, as a kid in 2004 when that happened, or 2005 when that happened, I was like, whoa, you can make money for playing video games, right? And I think a lot of kids had that same idea. And like I think that Halo 3, Halo 2 obviously were very competitive, but they weren't designed to be super really in-depth competitive. They have their own nuances. A lot of games have this issue now where they really try to make the game an esports game, whereas like the reason these games were so fun to play both competitively and casually back in the day is because they were just games that played a certain way and people found a way to make them competitive, and that was cool. But like a lot of these games, especially with Halo Infinite, they lean so much into the esports side of it, into the competitive side of it. And I'm on that side. There was a point where I was one of the top 100 ranked Halo players in Halo Reach. And I had 750s on my Halo 3 account, right? Like I am in that community, and I think it's too much. They are straying away from what made Halo so fun to play for so many people by focusing on one of 8 total parts that made it what it was.
Right.
Other games do that too.
Well, I think too, when you stray away from what makes the game accessible, I don't think you could ever make a game that is perfectly competitive that no one has a gripe with. But it was easy in Halo to be involved with, esports, but then also like everybody I knew played everything, right? They wanted to be a level 50, but also I had friends that, wanted to get recon armor from taking screenshots, or, like, wanted to get a 50 in big team battle, and like everybody played custom games. Like it was for everybody. There was not like, and if you chose to get to that level where you wanted to be fluent in esports, you could, but it wasn't the reason the game existed. The game existed to be a game, and that all that other stuff fell into place, right? You learned about it the more you wanted to invest, I guess.
We have a coworker, Rob, who he most of his time in Halo building racetrack. He was a part of like a whole like racing community where they would go in and they would build racetracks on different maps. And communities like that existed for so many different facets of Forge creation and community generated.
So my processing of this is sort of like, I was never like the Xbox generation, but you guys are like the epitome of like that era. You guys are those people. And what I'm hearing is you guys were sort of the origin of gaming, of esports, and it all happened organically. Like you guys created your own websites, your own clans, right? But then the companies, the developers, and like the gaming community in general saw this, and I feel like they sort of misunderstood what the initial appeal was. And by trying to cater to like the most epic standard gamer, they actually ended up alienating like most of what was good in the first place.
Right.
That's insane.
And that's exactly right. And you have like, such a good point. There is easy money to be had, right, in esports. Like the instant appeal is like, you can make $1 million winning a Halo tournament. That's insane. That must mean we can make a lot of money if we keep funding this esports thing. But what you don't realize is having tools and resources for communities to build themselves also brings you a lot of money. So I think that's been lost a little bit is I get it from a business standpoint, probably not as efficient to invest in your Forge mechanics and the development of Forge and co-op campaign when you know that a Halo tournament would bring in more money. But I think it ultimately is kind of hurting things down the line because people don't have a reason to come and pick up the game as an everyday person,
It's crazy how the best word I can think of right now is comfy. How comfy Halo 3 was, because you could do whatever you wanted. Like, so there was this website, it's called Halo Charts. It was freaking awesome. As long as you searched for someone's gamer tag on Halo Charts, it would track all their stats. They tracked how many campaign kills you had. I was like top 100 in the world for Halo 3 campaign kills, as well as like being this guy who really liked playing custom games. And it like when a game is only catering towards being competitive, it especially as like I'm 30 now, like it's just I don't have as much time or energy to just constantly be grinding ranked on a game. And like it's like with Valorant or CS:GO, right? CS:GO is highly competitive, but the most fun I have playing CS:GO is when I do social lobbies. When you just play competitive ranked games over and over and over and over again, especially if it's the same game and it doesn't have another outlet for you to like chill and to like other parts of the game for you to explore, it's so easy to get burnt out. Halo was great because you could play ranked and then you could go play social games, or you could go play custom games, or you could go play campaign. I play a lot of Warzone now. It's one of my main, and Escape from Tarkov are two of my main FPS games. They really only have one play style, and that's win. And like be as good as you can be. And they're great at that. But after I play Warzone or Tarkov for like 3-4 hours, I'm like, whoa, that's enough of that for today. But for Halo 3, Halo, yeah, exactly. I'm like, that's it. Like, it's over for today. Halo 3, I would get home from school on Friday. I would start playing Halo at 3 p.m. and I wouldn't sleep until like, I had to go to school on Monday. Like, and you would just.
I would fall asleep with the mic. I would fall asleep on my, like I had a futon and I would be in.
Yeah.
By the time they had released Xbox parties.
Oh, Xbox party
I would fall asleep on my couch in my party, and I would wake up. My friends would still be there. They'd be like, "Oh, hey, like what's up? You're like, good. You woke up." Like,
right.
And we would pick it back up again. Like it was that serious. Like it really was. Like it was. It was a big deal.
Xbox Party Chat was one of the biggest game changers, where up to 8 people could all be playing separate games, but you could all like chill. Or if you wanted to play Halo 3, but you don't want to talk to the enemy team, you could all be in a party chat. or you don't want to talk to your randoms like on your team or whatever. And that was like the first. It wasn't the first integration of voice chat, obviously, like Ventrilo and the other one that I used all the time
TeamSpeak?
for like TeamSpeak for World of Warcraft, right? Like, but for consoles, you never really had that ability to have your own custom area where you and your friends could hang out and chill. And for Halo, that was huge. It was like a game changer.
Awesome.
It was so awesome.
Do you guys think there's any hope?
Hope is dead. There's no hope. No,
Maybe we should just not have expectations.
No.
here.
It's hard. It's hard to have expectations in the modern gaming ecosphere because we're let down so often. And it's not saying that games back in the day were always perfect, because the problem was back in the day, if there was a problem with the game, there's really no easy way to patch it, especially because a lot of games were on disk. A lot of developers and a lot of game companies now, they're like, oh, it's okay if we release the game like broken because we can just fix it, or we can say it's just an alpha so we can get away with it. Not saying that there's not labors of love out there. Every game is fighting for your attention. Every game has a battle pass now. Every game has microtransactions. Every game is fighting for your dollar. The game industry is very noisy nowadays, where back in the day, there was like maybe 3 or 4 major releases a year.
Every week.
It's every week.
It's everything.
To 4, yeah.
Right. Like big game releases.
I've had this conversation a lot with just other people in the industry. It's like, it used to be really predictable, right? You know, in the fall, you could expect some of your big major AAA releases, your holiday releases. But now we're seeing months like January and February and like just almost random times where the game of the year is debuting, right? Like Elden Ring was a February release. Like that typically, like at least when I was growing up, like that was not the case. Like everything would release in, you know, November, October, September, all of that. And those would be the time of the year that those games are coming out. But no, now it's just so different.
But now it's just all year.
Yeah, the market is oversaturated, but these communities still pop up. You know, people still band around, like, for example, like Rocket League. I don't think anybody knew it was going to be like a huge esports game, but now it's like one of the top 5, right? And it also started off as like a goofy casual game. It's like, oh, what if we play soccer with cars, right? And now it's like a esports scene. So like, you know, no, it's not like, oh, like all hope is lost or something. I feel bad for the Xbox generation a little bit. Times have changed, yeah, but I mean, like,
the future is now, old man.
Yeah, the future is now. We still have communities, luckily, and you know, if you want to learn more about that too, you can always go to Gamesight.
We specialize in it because we know what it's like to have a good community, because we lived it.
Exactly.
No, you do see those communities, especially in games like Final Fantasy 14. Their community is so close knit, and they have a very close relationship with the developers. And like, I view Final Fantasy 14 and the dev team almost like Bungie and Halo, where so many of the members of the 14 dev team, like Yoshi P and Soken, and like some of the more senior devs who've been around forever, like they're idols within that. Whereas in Halo, Joseph Staten, Marcus Leto, Marty O'Donnell, those were like idols for kids. I remember I met Marty at the Halo Reach launch in Seattle in 2010. He signed my poster and I talked to him about music for 5 minutes. And I'll never forget it. I was starstruck. I'm like, this is Marty O'Donnell, like the guy who made the Halo theme. And
wow,
you know, people like game devs, like Cliff Bleszinski, right? Another good example of like a rock star game. But game devs are Todd Howard, Gavin. There are rock stars in the game developer like field, but you see less of that now. You see less of the people and more of the company. It's a Riot game, or it's a Bethesda game, or whatever.
I think you really only get Kojima. I mean, like, he's the one who's still kicking, but like
he's almost a relic from that era of Rockstar.
I feel like this sort of reminds me of the talk from like the first episode I had about the fighting game community, where it's like a lot of games develop these grassroots communities, but then the transition into becoming more of like an industry like program can be really hard, like we've seen with like Super Smash Bros, right? And like a lot of the fighting game communities. So I just wonder if, like, I don't know, how do we make that transition smoother, I guess?
Well, the scaling is hard, right?
Yeah.
Because it's hard to make something for everyone when it's grounded in the fact that you have to be extremely good at the game. because then it's not for everybody by default, right? So it just doesn't scale. And I think, tying the bow on it, that's why I believe that Halo 3 did scale, right? Because everybody was involved with all pieces, or at least it felt that way. Everybody kind of got their time in the spotlight, which I think was really powerful. But yeah, now it's hard. It's just the barrier to entry is really intimidating. Like I just started playing League and I'm like, I don't get it. And I want to because it's really fun, but I don't get it.
Well, and you see that with like Halo Infinite, where like when you look at the ranked population, half of the people that play ranked are the highest rank possible. Whereas in a healthy game, the people at the high, like in League of Legends, like if you're diamond, it's like what, like top 5, top 4% are diamond and up or something like that, where the vast majority is lower than that. But in Halo is the same thing. If you're like a level 40 Colonel and you saw level 50, you're like, this guy's hot shit. Like
exactly.
I immediately respect this person because I can see the number 50 next to their name. You would see the symbol. You'd see they were a general. And like that kind of clout meant so much back then. But now it's like everybody's that, right? Like especially with like really competitive games, like everybody's a diamond or like everybody's an onyx. Because they are just focusing on that community. That really hardcore community. When I played Apex, I played the character called Mirage all the time, and Mirage is like memed as being like the worst character because he's worthless. But my playstyle, I always used his abilities pretty well, I thought. But they changed him. Like they've changed him so many times. Whereas with Halo, all you have to do is balance guns. You don't have to balance character abilities, passive, right? So it's hard. It's definitely harder for a game like League or Valorant.
Should return to Monkey.
Return to 2014 League. 2007 Halo.
Like I don't know about that. Honestly, I think Riot is doing a great job. Yeah. I'm not getting paid to say this.
No, I think they are too. And I'm not saying that like because I still play League at least 2 or 3 times a week with my friends, but as someone who played like back in the day, it's definitely shifted in a way that's completely different than it was. It's almost an entirely new.
That's true. Yeah.
And either like it or you don't. There are things I like and there are things I don't like is the best way to put it about current League. But there were things I liked and I didn't like about old League. Same thing with Halo. Halo 3 wasn't perfect. It had all of it. Like I know I said earlier about like the hit reg and the melees, but it's hard. It's really hard. I don't envy game balancers.
No, not at all.
Thank you guys for sharing your expertise on this super interesting niche subculture that like defined the generation, right? It was like a hugely mainstream thing because I was involved, even though I literally like I did not grow up with these games. Just a huge movement, and I think just talking about it has like elucidated a lot of interesting things about the game community and sort of like how did we get here now, right? So yeah, these are the guys running your campaigns at Gamesight. If you want to learn more, we gotta like plug it back in. You gotta plug it back in.
I would say if you
they're like these grouchy people that are mad about Halo are running our influence.
If you want to see the best TLDR about Halo, watch Crobcat's Halo video. It's like 10 minutes long. It's like a masterpiece. It pretty much takes everything Emilee and I just talked about and condenses it into a 10-minute video that makes you feel nostalgic for a thing even if you haven't played it.
All right, I'll put that plug in at the end of the video, or the end of the podcast, so they'll have watched this whole thing first. Yeah.
True, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying it right now.
Yes, perfect. But yeah, like when it comes to like creator programs, influencer campaigns, you should hit up Gamesight. You guys have any last shout outs you wanted to do?
Shout outs?
Yeah, just
I get to shout somebody out.
Sure, yeah.
I'm like, all right, well, shout out to my mom. Kidding. Like to tie it back to Gamesight and just like all of the things that we are founded on, it is that community. I think, our CEO will give you the same pitch. Like community driven is kind of how we all got here, and it's what we still value. And so yeah, we're trying to link that together for game devs and these big businesses that know that they need to engage with their influencers in their community, but might not know how or might not know the best way to do it. So yeah, I guess that's what we're just trying to do is be that mouthpiece for them and try to get a pulse on the community and see what works. Because I think there is room for business and, like the pleasure of it all to kind of mix. But it has to be fun and it has to be accessible. And so it's definitely something I'm passionate about. And I think, our broader team is passionate about is just, bringing games to people because I think everybody, like to Ratatouille it. Like everybody can game.
You, Gabe?
Gabe loves lamp. I think like the best the best way to I think Emilee put it in a really good. Stop laughing. Stop laughing at me. It's not funny. No, I'm kidding. Emilee put it in a really good way in that like we really care about making good content and helping represent games in their best light, because even a game that's quote unquote bad, right, and has bad ratings, there's still people that like it, right? And there's a lot of games that I like that have like really low ratings on Steam, but I'm like, yeah, but I kind of like them, so whatever. And I think everybody has that for so many different games. And yeah, cult classics, right? And we want to do that, to our best ability without like while making everyone feel like they're part of that community. And because when you feel like you're a part of a community and you feel like you really contributed towards something, especially if it's in a professional sense, like as through a sponsorship, like you feel good because you did a good job and like everybody's happy, and there's a lot of people who might not have known about a game and now they know about a game, and we want to do that in a way that is comfortable for both creators, where they feel like they've made good content and where game devs can feel comfortable in the budget they've and we're not flippant about it, and we just again like we're really passionate about it. Like we try our very best to make sure everything goes right and to make sure that like the work that we do is quality.
Yeah, Gamesight forever.
Woo!
Yeah.
I heart
Alright.
Gamesight. Hashtag
Yeah,
ad.
Hashtag ad, hashtag sponsored, hashtag Gamesight.
Hashtag sponsor. All right. That's pretty much it for this episode. Thank you guys again so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Let's go.
I hope we get invited back.
We won't.
Oh,
big fan of the pod. Big fan of the pod. This is a big moment for me.
Big Potters.